but nothing ever stopped me from dusting off my shoes. You might think you'll see me.
Hi, and welcome to Run Tall with Tim. I'm Tim. Thanks for being here. I always appreciate the time that you and I get to spend together, so thanks for tuning in. And I hope wherever you are that you're happy, healthy, and staying safe. On today's video, I'm going to be reviewing and giving you my thoughts on the Nike ZoomX Streakfly.
Falling to the ground, but I threw up my umbrella when rain stopped hitting down.
Now these are incredibly lightweight, and Nike is marketing them as your next 5K or 10K race shoe. But are they really? Well, that's the question we're going to try to answer today, so be sure to stick around. But before I get into it too far, I always like to demonstrate what it looks like to run in the shoes I'm about to review for you. So let's do that. But then when we come back together, I'm going to take a real close look at the Nike ZoomX Streakfly.
I've been trying to bend the rules since I barely was walking. I've been trying harder all my life, cause I need to be perfect. If I could just be a little better, maybe you could be my salvation out of here. I can get it off, we are never done. I'm Julian, baby, you are like the sun. Pour out all your love, fill me to the top. Let me hear that champagne burst and pop. Cause as long as you are here with me, I'll be living long and wild and free. I can get it off, fill me to the
Now, if you're new to the channel, welcome to the Run Tall family. I'm really glad you're here and you found us on YouTube. Now, I post running shoe reviews, comparisons, and shoe battles weekly, but I also like to post other videos related to running as well. So if you enjoy watching running shoe reviews and other videos about running, be sure to subscribe to the channel and don't forget to click the notification bell so that you'll be notified each time that I upload new content. Now, I did purchase these with my own money and they cost $160 US. They are a little hard to find. On Nike's website, they're limited to some more of the odd sizes. Now, I ordered a US men's size 9 and they fit me perfectly, so they did run true to size for me. Now, they're incredibly lightweight, as I had mentioned. They come in at 5.9 ounces for a men's size 9 on my scales, or 167 grams. So let's start by talking about the midsole, which is what I often refer to as the engine of the shoe. Now, these have ZoomX foam from the heel to the toe. They have 32 millimeter stack height in the heel and 26 millimeters up in the forefoot. And then embedded within the foam is a carbon fiber shank that's in the midfoot. Now, that's a little bit different than what they've used, for example, in the Next Percent 2 that has a carbon fiber plate that runs pretty much the full length. So it's a little less stiff or rigid, but it still gives you plenty of pop as you move through your gait cycle. Now, the ZoomX foam is still highly cushioned. It's really comfortable, soft, fun to run in. It doesn't have quite the aggressive rocker design up here in the forefoot as what you might find in the Next Percent 2, but that's not a bad thing. These feel really comfortable to run in. Now, I've had these out on 3 different speed work days where I was running at threshold pace. Each one of those was right around a 7+ mile workout. So I was able to really get a good sense or feel as to whether or not I thought that these would make a good 10K shoe. I think they're an excellent choice for a 5K shoe. And I had been running 5Ks and racing in the Nike Next Percent 2, but they're not without their problems or issues for shorter races like that, or 5K races, because oftentimes you've got, you might have a switchback or you might have some tight corners, things of that nature, and those aren't the best in that situation. With the carbon fiber shank as opposed to the plate, it's far more forgiving, and you can never do this with the Next Percent 2. And it's got much more flexibility up here in the forefoot. And again, there's no way you're going to be able to do that with the Next Percent 2. So I think these are a much better choice for a 5K, and they felt comfortable going up to that 10K range. So much so that I think if you wanted to, you could race a half marathon in these without too much trouble. Now, they did feel best for me when I was mid to forefoot foot striking, but even at slower paces, they felt pretty comfortable. I got tons of energy return and pop, but especially up in the forefoot of the shoe. They remind me a little bit of the New Balance Rebel V2 to run in as far as a daily trainer. Now, these are a great speed day workout shoe. I'm a little concerned about the durability because it has a lot of exposed ZoomX foam from the midfoot back. I guess time will tell, but these are a great companion shoe to working out in the next percent too, because they have a very similar feeling to them, just not as aggressive. And for me, that's a good thing, especially on my speed day workout shoes or for my next 5K race. And this is the shoe I'm going to be wearing. So let's go ahead and flip them over and take a look at that outsole. And here again, you can see that it has rubber basically from the midfoot all the way up through the toe. It has kind of a wave style pattern. I did find that these did a good job keeping me to the road, but they're obviously a road shoe. One of the issues that I had, however, is, I was running on some tarvy or blacktop roads, and along the edge are some loose stone and gravel and things along those lines. And I did pick up in this ZoomX foam kind of a sharper stone that kind of stuck in that foam for a little bit. And I had to kind of stop and pop it out of there. So again, I'm a little concerned about the overall durability here, but if you're only using it on race day for a 5K or a 10K race, I think you're gonna be able to get a lot of races out of it. But overall, in terms of logging tons and tons of miles on these, I'm not so sure. We'll see. I do plan to put a lot of miles in these, so I'm going to run these up. If you got a shoe and you spent the $160 for them, I'm going to get my money's worth. So we're going to see just exactly how far I can take these. So I'm going to be using these for my speed work as I train for the marathon that's coming up here at the end of May. The overall style is similar to the Next Percent 2, and you can see that kind of reflected there in the forefoot of the shoe, although the pattern that they used and for that outsole rubber is slightly different on the Next Percent 2. But the overall kind of hourglass shape or design is very similar. Now these do feature a bit wider toe box, so let's just move on and we'll talk about the upper. It's a mesh material that's highly breathable. Now when I was running in these, it's still pretty cold here, so it's right around at that freezing mark. So I actually had to wear some warmer socks because it is so breathable. That mesh just lets that air really flow pretty freely. But that makes it a really comfortable shoe, especially in the summer months when it does get warmer, and it keeps it really quite lightweight. It is translucent, so you can see through it. That's just how thin it is. They do have a little bit of structure up around the toe box, so you can see that they have some, I would say it's a plastic type of an overlay, but super thin. It gives it just a little bit of durability, a little bit of structure there. And it comes around to about the midfoot section of the shoe. And then you can see back that they do have their Nike logo here near the heel area, as well as one that scrolls across the top of the midfoot around to the side. Now, as I started to mention, it is a bit wider toe box than what you'll find in the Nike Next Percent 2. It's a little bit of an issue for me. The Next Percent 2 fits me perfectly, but it bunches up a little bit right there at the start of the eyelet chain because it is a little bit wider, which is great if you have a wider foot. My foot is a little bit more narrow, so that was a little bit of an issue for me. Didn't cause any comfort or discomfort, I guess, problems, but it is just something to note that, when you try to lace them up or cinch up those laces, it does tend to bunch up just a little bit there. So let's just take a closer look at the lace enclosure system, as long as we're talking about it. And here they're using a loop system, so a little bit different, not a traditional eyelet system, but it has more of a cords, I guess, as a way to describe it. The only thing that kind of came up with that is these laces they're thin and they're smooth, and when you go to cinch them up, those cords just want to let that tension out again. So I did find myself struggling a little bit to get it cinched down the way that I wanted it to be, but nothing that would prevent me from buying these shoes again. And then they do have that extra eyelet in case you want to run with a runner's nut up there at the top. I did not. I didn't feel the need to do that. I felt pretty locked in and secure. The tongue is, they call it like integrated. I would say, it's got a semi-gusset, so the tongue is gusseted about halfway up. So part of it is left loose. That's where the padding is. But I didn't have any issues with it migrating around, obviously, so it stayed in place. The padding is just enough to keep it comfortable, especially for those 5K, 10K distances. I didn't have any issues with that, but it is relatively thin. I would say it is very comparable to like the Nike Next Percent 2. And then as we look at the padding around the collar and the tab of the shoe, very thin, a little bit thinner than what you're going to find in the Next Percent 2, but still very comfortable. I didn't have any heel slippage or anything along those lines. So the padding was more than adequate, again, especially for a short distance racing shoe. I think they got that just about perfect. And then I'm going to put it up on my shoulder, and I'm going to give it kind of the pinch test back here in the heel counter, see how much structure that they have. You know, for a shoe that weighs less than 6 ounces, they actually have a little bit of structure back here. Not a ton, but enough to hold your heel in place. And again, I didn't have any slippage or my heel issues with my heel moving from side to side or up or down. I'm going to turn it on the side. I'm going to push forward on it, see how that is. Yeah, you know, you would expect to have a little bit of give on such a lightweight shoe, but I think Nike got it just about right. I think they found a nice balance between giving you enough structure in the heel without adding additional weight. That way we can be just about as fast as we possibly can be on race day. Overall, I think these make a great choice for a 5K or 10K race shoe. They're quick, they're comfortable, and they're affordable. Hey, thanks for making it to the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed making it for you. As always, run tall, run strong, be kind to one another. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on Run Tall with Tim.
Out in stormy weather, I might have the blues, but nothing ever stopped me from dusting off my shoes. You might think you'll see